Hey guys, this is Lindsay with Broadcast Reviews. We are back here with Destini talking all about greens powder, kind of like the trendy thing that has like surfaced. I mean, Andrew Huberman, if you like follow his podcast, I'm sure you've heard about him or Joe Rogan or whoever like other successful podcaster is promoting greens essentially right now. So we're going to kind of get into a lot of what greens are. Are they actually beneficial, and are they a gimmick, or do we really need them? But first, make sure you subscribe to our channel so you can continue to see videos just like this one. Also, if you want to purchase any of the products that we talk about, we place a link below the like button. When you use that link, it doesn't cost you anything extra, but it does give us a small commission. And lastly, some of these were sent to us by the company, but I promise you this is an honest review, and we're always transparent about what we talk about here. So let's get into it. Okay, so listen, I'm just going to start off with like a blanket statement on my opinion. Fruits and vegetables are easily accessible. We should be eating fruits and vegetables. Obviously, we don't, as an American diet, probably get enough of the recommended dose. Is taking a green powder a good supplement to our lack in fruits and vegetables, or is it a gimmick?
So the answer to that is a little bit complicated. I ran into a girl the other day who was talking about how she takes athletic greens. And I'm like, instead of saying anything judgmental off the bat, I'm just like, you know what makes you take that? And she's just like, it's so hard for me to stomach vegetables. I'm trying. But in the meantime, I just noticed that I feel so much better and have so much energy when I take it, which I think is a wonderful reason to take it. She's trying to get her fruits and vegetables from her diet, but other barriers, whether she doesn't know how to cook them or she just can't settle for right now, stopping her from doing that right now. So she's taking those as a substitute, which I think is better than nothing.
Sure.
Right? But overall, for people that have access to fruits and vegetables, they know how to make them, there's no other issues. I would say that I'm leaning more towards the gimmick part of that.
So the reason I kind of like started this, like, I guess, thought was my husband and I went to Mexico, and there was a ton of people there, and we had like this table just full of like fresh fruits and vegetables. Like the pie already, it was just like I couldn't get enough of it, right? And then there's people who are like, we can't eat anything until we have our greens. And I was like, but there's fruit right here. What's happening? We've actually been given salad every day. What's happening? And so is greens almost this like culty thing right now where people think that like, oh, I have to have this, otherwise I'm not getting enough. And we kind of like miss the fact that there are really good fruits and vegetables all around us, you know?
I think that we kind of live in this era of both convenience and just media saturation. So I think that the media has told us that greens powder is the best way to get your antioxidants in, right? And it's also a lot more convenient than pulling out your cutting board and chopping up fruits and vegetables, right? So I think that's why a lot of people are leaning toward it. But it's not a one-to-one substitution.
Okay. No, that's so good to know. So I do think, you know, what I'm hearing you're saying is like there are people who could benefit from taking your greens powder. Obviously, if we can take the appropriate amount of fruits and vegetables in its natural form, that's ideal, right? Like that's number one. If we can't do that, maybe there is a place for some greens powders for some people.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay, great. So let's talk about just kind of what we went through. We looked at the formulation, so what is in the greens powders. We looked at the dosage, so how much of those ingredients are in there. The solubility, which I think is a huge thing with greens powders because there are some nasty ones, okay? Like, I don't care how much sucralose and other things you put in there, you can still taste like the grittiness and the spirulina and like whatever else. And then obviously taste, right? Like how does it taste? So that's kind of our thought process as we were going into testing all of these greens powders. And like when I say there were more greens powders on the market, I had no idea about. I was like, whoa, so many companies are making these. So we do actually have a full written article review on our website. If anybody's curious about the ones we don't talk about today, you can go ahead and check out our website. But let's talk about, and I'm sure you had obviously heard of this, okay? AG1. This is the hype man. I feel like this kind of like brought in this whole era of just like greens powders, right? And it is so expensive. Like, just ridiculous. So, in your opinion, and we can be honest here, like, what's your opinion of AG1 as their formula, as the taste, and do you think it's worth the cost?
I think that the formula of AG1 is fantastic. I mean, they threw the entire kitchen sink at this formulation, right? They've got all the ingredients in there: vitamins, minerals, adaptogens, prebiotics, anything that you can think of, probiotics, anything that you want, it's there. So even though it's expensive, I would say that you're getting what you pay for, right? And I also like the dosages of the ingredients. A lot of the downfalls of the common green powder, especially if they're cheap, is that they have greens in them, but the dosages are very, very small. So you might as well not be taking anything at all, you know? With that said, I tried AG1 once, and it is the last time I will ever try AG1. It is one of the worst greens powders I think I've ever tasted. I can't even describe my reaction to it, but if you have a strong stomach, go for it. I am not a fan.
Reminded me so much. I don't know if you remember the trend where like drinking celery juice on an empty stomach was like supposed to be this huge health benefit. And at the time I tried it and I was like, I don't care how much health benefit this is going to give me. I can't drink it. I felt sick. Like, we're just going to die early, I guess. You know, but it does have, I mean, you've got like ginger, you've got folate, you've got B complex vitamins, ashwagandha root, like cherries. There are a lot of quality ingredients within the AG1. So I would definitely say if you are looking for appropriate dosage and quality ingredients, and you don't mind spending a lot of money on your greens, then sure, like, this would be a good one to look at for sure. And also if you have strong stomach.
Yeah, if the reason you're not eating vegetables is because you don't like the taste of them, this would probably not be the powder for you.
Right, which it's so interesting because I do hear that a lot with people who are like, I don't like vegetables. And they're like, well, we're going to do our greens. And I'm like, have you ever tasted spirulina? It's in almost every greens, and it's a very strong flavor. Like, we're not getting rid of that anytime soon, you know? Yeah, with AG1, it is $3.30 per serving. So kind of insane to me. And I know on their website, they do a subscription base. So if you don't like the subscription base type things, then like this probably be a good one to steer clear of because you're going to get charged quite a bit of money. But on their website, it says that it was formulated with athletes in mind and had an ingredient list that includes vitamins, minerals, a raw superfood complex, and other adaptogen blends. Can you speak to like maybe why this would be beneficial or why they would have athletes in mind while creating this?
A lot of people think that athletes need more antioxidants than the regular person. There's not a lot of research that supports that, but I mean, they do need to fight a lot of exercise to reduce inflammation, right? Say train more than a regular person. But there are some adaptogens in here, like the mushroom complex and the ashwagandha, that have been shown to be beneficial to athletes in terms of sort of mitigating the stress response and even some anxiety that you may get from exercising so often. So I think that those are the most solid clues that they formulated this with athletes in mind.
No, that's really good. And honestly, I love the idea of putting something into a really good ingredient list that would help maybe cause less anxiety around training or less anxiety around whatever. So I didn't know that, and I think that is really cool. Okay, so this is what a couple people on the team, I'm gonna strongly disagree with them, have rated as the best tasting greens powder. I don't think that there is such a thing, but I do like this company, and that is Transparent Labs, and it is their prebiotic greens. So why is prebiotic greens, or what is different than prebiotic greens than a greens powder like we see with AG1?
So here's the thing. Prebiotics is what we typically think of in the traditional sense. They're foods, typically plant fibers, that feed the probiotics in our gut. You know, they provide them with food, allow the good bacteria in our stomachs to proliferate. So having a combination of food and probiotics is optimal, right? Ideally, you would be getting these prebiotics from certain fibers in fruits and vegetables. So I think the idea here was because a lot of the fiber is lost in the powdering process of making the greens, they added the prebiotics back in so that it's basically the same as having fruits and vegetables, and that was the reason that they decided to add that in here, so it would be a suitable substitute.
Sure. So obviously we know that probably as a society, we are not getting the appropriate amount of fiber that we should be getting, like nowhere close, right?
Not at all.
So many people are not on the regular, and they need to get on the regular, right? So is this something that if you are having trouble in that area could potentially help? Or are you saying like the idea is there, but we should still be eating like an apple or whatever?
It's like a joke now that everybody has IBS, right? Everybody's like, oh, our food supply's messed up. My stomach is always messed up. Let's take probiotics. Let's take prebiotics. But really, it's just that nobody's eating enough fiber. Right? Where is the fiber? It's in fruits and vegetables. I mean, you can also find some in whole grain, but it's like, just eat a vegetable.
Right.
So, I mean, that said, this would be better than something like another green powder that has very low fiber whatsoever. At least it's trying. So if you do have a problem staying regular or something like that, this would be a better option.
Okay, and I will say that they have mango, peach, and then their unflavored options for this. I tried the peach. I love peach. I wouldn't say it came through super strong, but was it better tasting than AG1? Yes. So I could agree with that statement. But I do like that. I mean, Transparent Labs is obviously third-party tested. Its price point is $1.33 per serving, so almost half the cost of AG1. And it does have a little bit of that, like, added fiber, right? So it has some benefits to it. And if you're struggling in that area, it might be worth a try.
Yeah, I agree.
Awesome. Okay, so next is one of your mine. I feel like this is where we became soul sisters. Was Legion Genesis greens. Now, just Legion brand in general. Like, you got me hooked, actually, and now I'm like, yeah, let's go. Let's say,
You can eat out lots of spring, and I'm out of some of their protein right now, actually.
What flavor?
Apple pie with almond butter blended in. Oh, yeah.
So good. So tell me, I mean, obviously, you're pretty familiar with the Legion brand. Why do you like that brand in particular? And then we'll kind of get into the ingredients of their greens.
Well, the reason I like this brand is because it uses natural ingredients, no artificial sweeteners, additives, fillers. That's pretty much their full motto. But like all of their supplements, their greens powder included, they show you each ingredient and they show you the evidence behind it. And not only that, they cite the studies saying this is why we know this works. So nothing is just thrown in there because it's like a great buzzword and people will buy it because it's got fancy names on it. Everything that's in Legion products is there for a reason. So that's why I'm such a huge fan of the brand and of this green powder.
Sure. So I want to name off a couple different ingredients that they have. Macaroon extract. What is the purpose of the macaroon in a greens powder? I know. What do I need to say?
I normally talk about macaroon in like the context of libido.
Yeah. Well, don't say that. Here we're all adults. Libido.
Yeah, I mean, libido. But outside of that, the reason it's great for libido is you have to sort of dilate the blood vessels, helps blood flow get to the right places and all that. So not necessarily something you would want to just take in the morning, like if you're not going to go work out or anything. But if you are an active individual who's taking it, leading up to a workout, it could help you out.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's great. Okay, spirulina. I know I've thrown out that word quite a few times. Why do we like spirulina so much?
It is something that is just a very, very powerful source of antioxidants. For the amount that you have to take, which is very small, you can get a very large amount of antioxidants. I think that it's an algae, and it's got a very strong flavor, but the reason for that is just because there are a lot of phytonutrients in it that are great for your health.
Sure. Now, with Legion, it is a little bit more expensive, but only coming out to be $1.40 per serving, and Legion is also third-party tested, which is something you really like, especially working with athletes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm just comparing everything to AG1, but I think the price per serving, well, it's pretty decent.
I would also say that I think that Legion's ingredients are just as good as the ingredient list that AG1 provides.
I mean, and you're not looking to throw all that extra stuff in there, like the adaptogens and enzymes and all that, and you just want a basic greens powder that's clean, I would pick this over AG1.
For sure. Yeah, and again, price point matters. Like, we can't be spending our kids' Christmas money on our greens. So let's not only get to see what's deal. Okay, so last one I kind of want to mention, and this is our pick for the best budget greens powder. This was the Jack Factory Green Surge. I will say, out of any of the ones that I have tasted, the green apple was decent, but it had syrup bolus in it, so it was kind of overly sweet. I don't love the taste like of sucralose. I just feel like it gives things to be like too sweet. So I wouldn't want to drink a whole thing of it. I feel like it would upset my stomach. But it was only 75 cents a serving. Do you have any sort of opinion on Jack Factory as a brand or this greens powder specifically?
I'm not super familiar with Jack Factory, but I will say, as bad as it sounds, I will caution people against greens powder that tastes a little too good to be true, because if they taste super good, it's probably because they want to keep you drinking it, and it's probably because there's not a lot of good vegetables in it. Because a bad powder is just absolutely packed with vegetables. It's what you should be having every morning to replace your vegetables. It needs to have some sort of vegetable-y flavor. So if there's a lot of other additives and things like Splenda, which is the sucralose you were tasting, throw it in there, that means that there's less of the greens, which is what you're aiming for.
Sure. Yeah, and I'm just reading now, it also had stevia leaf extract. So it was just very sweet, in my opinion. But I will say it does have some good things. It has like organic spirulina powder. It has organic spinach leaf powder. It's got organic wheatgrass powder. So we are seeing some ingredients in this that we've seen in other ones like Legion or AG1. But it probably doesn't have like any sort of adaptogens or kind of extra stuff that you might benefit from if you are going to take a green powder. Anything else you want to add? Like, what should people know going into this, or what should people look for or not look for before we wrap it up?
Outside of what we already talked about, one thing that people should look for when they're buying a greens powder is proprietary blend. So if it says like super vegetable blend and it lists like 12 vegetables, but it doesn't give you the amount of what each vegetable it actually contains, I would have alarm bells going off. Because if it says the vegetable blend 1,000 milligrams, but then it's got like 20 vegetables in there, how many milligrams of that vegetable are you actually getting? Probably not much, right? So I would say wary of products like that. But additionally, in general, I mean, I'm a dietitian, I'm going to keep saying it. If you're going to eat your fruits and vegetables, please do so. Even if you can just make a smoothie made out of fruits and vegetables, do so. Because then at least you're still getting the fiber. But eating it also has some benefits too, because you get more volume in your stomach eating the vegetables that are on these labels, which is great for weight loss. It's great for feelings of fullness and feelings of just satisfaction after a meal, so that you don't feel like you need to have a snack after you have your green powder. So yeah, for the people that may need one, sure, but really assess if that's something that you can just...
Yeah, honestly, I will say, so I am doing like a cut right now with some coaching program for Legion. And I am eating so many fruits and vegetables, and I didn't realize actually how much I could eat and how full they would keep me. I think we kind of forget about it for some reason. Like, we're like, oh, just a salad's not going to keep me full. No, you load that salad up with some like really good protein, with even like berries and apples and other things in it. Like, you're going to get pretty full.
Well, I always tell my clients and my athletes that the stomach is a volume counter. It's not a calorie counter. It doesn't care how many calories you eat. It cares about how much you eat. So if you can't eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, normally the amount of calories is negligible. But if you're doing something like a cut, that would be way more beneficial to you than taking a greens powder in its place.
Sure. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your honesty. We love having you on, and we will talk to you soon. This has been Lindsay with Broad Shoe Reviews.